Yo, what's up, guys? Here's Mike, and today we are going to have a guide on 0 to 100 logging in New World here. I know there's a few guides out there, but I kind of want to make my own just to get a different side of views of what you guys should have and what you should kind of do, and just a few different items to kind of look out for when you are running to go get these trees and kind of what to do with it. So first thing we're going to start off with is you can do this at any level throughout the game, whether you're level 1 or you're level 60. Obviously, if you're going to be level 60, you're going to want to use the higher tiered logging axe just because you're going to get higher chopping speeds compared to using the flint or iron one. But when using these axes to get your levels up a little bit faster, we are going to be looking for a certain perk. So here I'm going to go into the auction house, and I actually can't use the auction house right now because they turned down trading at this point. But one thing you're going to want to look for is the lumberjack's discipline on your axe. This is going to vary from level to level depending on, if you're using the iron, the steel, the star metal, or the orchidrillium axes. So the higher the tier, the stronger the XP boost is going to be. But obviously having this on here, if you're trying to just power level 1 through 100, or even 100 to 200, this is going to be great to have on there because you're going to get that little bit more XP during that time. There is gear that you can get through when you're chopping wood to get more rare items, but just the starting levels, there's really no need to get this item, that gear to put onto your character. Where I'm going to be kind of showing you guys is in Everfall here, just kind of chopping over in this section over here to the right of Everfall. That you can chop in any single location that you want to, really. Everfall is just kind of my main trading hub, depending on what you want to do with the wood afterwards. So whenever I go chop, I usually start over here in this side on the northeast part, and I will kind of just go through this huge forest over here. The biggest thing, I'm not going to show you guys how to chop trees. I'm assuming you can figure that out yourself by walking up to them and hitting the E button. But there are a few things that you want to look out for when going through and chopping down these trees. I know there's one around here, right here. So the first thing you're going to look for is a tree that looks like this. It has the 4 stumps. There's quite a few of them out there. I know there's 3 or 4 that spawn here in Everfall. But you're going to want to always chop this tree down whenever you see it. This tree gives some of the best XP for a young tree. You can chop this right at level 1. Always go for these if you can, though, and I'll show you why. So here's a normal young tree. We're going to chop this down. You get 37 XP. When you chop one of these down, it takes a little bit longer, but you always get 140 XP out of it. Obviously, if you have the XP boost, you're going to get that much more XP out of it. But it's a guaranteed 140. To give you a good example on why that's important, if we find a mature tree, which takes just around the same side or time, if not a little bit longer, I get 166. So I chop it faster and I get just around the same amount of XP out of it. And a mature takes level 50. These youngs you could chop again at level 1. So when you're using this, if you guys are looking to get the crafting materials, I would suggest either once the trading post is open, you could buy these proficiency boosters. So you could buy up to, whatever level that you are required to use it. So at level 20, you could use the common. I believe at like level 10, you could use the shitty original ones. I forgot what they're called. It's like a weak proficiency booster, and then there's the tier 4 and 5 that you can buy as well. Or if you have the arcana level, you could just make them or not arcana, the engineering level, you can make them yourself. I think it's like level 20, 50, 100, 120 or something like that. It's all in the list on how to make these. Very easy to make, but with these you get 7% more resources back for a certain time period. So if you're looking to just get a whole bunch of green wood and age wood while doing this process, it's good just to pop those because you're going to fill up your bag a little bit faster, but you're going to get 7% more resources out of it. And that's where the second part of this comes into. From level 1 to 100, you are going to stack a whole bunch of green wood And aged wood if you're chopping down the mature trees, which I suggest doing as much as possible. Because yes, it might take a little bit longer, but you get quite a bit of XP out of it. And especially if you're going to hold on to these woods, you're going to want to have a lot of aged wood at that point. Because there's 3 things that you can do with these wood here. And obviously depending on where you're at in your town, is what you're going to be able to do with them. So the first thing you can do, one of the easiest things, is you can sell the materials for just what they are. So if you go in here and we just search greenwood, on my server, greenwood's going for 5 a pop. Before, this might change with the item duping that's going on right now, but before all this item duping came to be, greenwood was selling easily 15 cents a pop, or 0.15, however you want to look at it. I know when I went from level 1 to 100, I made a good 8-9k just off of all the greenwood that I had. I suggest keeping it and either turning it into timber, or you can do charcoal. I don't suggest selling it. You're going to make a lot of money just playing the game and doing other things. And once you get to the higher levels, you need greenwood as the base stat for any type of lumber. So the second thing, if you're not going to sell it, is you can come to the wood shop. So as you can see, timber requires 4 greenwood to make into this 1 timber plank. The higher woodworking skill you have, the higher chance you are going to be able to craft an a different item or additional one. So with that, sometimes you'll be making 2 for the price of 1 at that time, which is really nice to have, because this timber you obviously will use for lumber, and then with that lumber you use for weirdwood planks. Weirdwood planks, then you have to need those for ironwood planks. So these things all stack off of each other, and once you want to start making things this high in level, it's going to start costing a nice pretty penny. So if you can stack up a lot of this timber or greenwood, it makes leveling this stuff up a little bit easier, and a little bit less farming to do later on. Or you can make charcoal. Charcoal is used in a lot of different things, going from smelting different ingots, or using it in engineering in quite a few different items. So with that, it just requires 2 of any wood. So whether you chop the aged wood, it's still 2 to the price of 1 for the charcoal, and same for greenwood. But as you can see, you're going to need charcoal for, your steel ingots. You're going to need charcoal for your star metal. You use charcoal for, crafting gunpowder, which is really good for engineering. So either or, they're both good, items to make, because you are going to need a lot of it when you are in the higher tiered items of, making these things, because you're going to need it regardless. So obviously it's hard to say, at this point of time on the date of recording, which is the 2nd of November, is it a good idea to make timber, or is it a good idea to do the charcoal? It's hard to say, just because of, we can go in here and look. If we search charcoal, charcoal's 4 a pop. Before this whole duping thing came to light, charcoal used to be, again, another 10 to 15 cents, or 0.1 to 0.15. So obviously if you need 2 of them to make 1 ingot, you need a good 20 to 30 cents right there. That adds up over time once you're making, a shit ton of those bars, because you need a lot more of this, or if you're using it for engineering to make whatever you need for that. Those things start stacking up quite fast if you're going to just buy that material. So if you could have a whole bunch of it on hand, it's usually best just to keep it. And if you're going to do this in your main city, don't worry about your storage situation. As you can see here in mine, I have a full maxed out storage. Take whatever this wood is and just walk to the nearest city when you're done making whatever. So for here, I would probably walk over to Monarch's Bluff, because it takes maybe 2 minutes to get over there. I would even suggest just doing this over in Windsward or Monarchs, depending on wherever your main town isn't at. That way, whenever you're done doing these things, you can just put it right in that storage and continue on. But my suggestions, my top 3 things: get the best engineering tool you can get, whether you're going to craft it yourself or buying it off the auction house whenever that's available again. make sure you get that logging perk on there to get the X amount percent more XP per usage. As you can see here, I have like Tanner's Discipline on my knife, so I got more skinning experience when I was doing this. The gains on XP stack up very, very fast, having these types of perks on your actual tools that you're using. In a second, chop all the green and mature wood, our young trees and mature trees. Don't look for just strictly for the young, because you're going to be out there for 10 hours going through and just chopping those trees trying to get up to 100. Because obviously if you're trying to go to 100, you're trying to get that weird wood tree, or try to kill the wolves that are over in Brightwood, because you need 100 wood logging for those. So go for those two. It's going to take probably around 6 to 8 hours to get from level 1 to 100. It might be fast. It's going to be a little bit faster, obviously, with the percent XP boost perk on your tool itself. And then obviously it's going to be faster with the higher tier tools, because a star metal tool is like 300 to 400% gathering speed, where like a steel, I believe, is like 200, and a flint is 100. So obviously the higher level tool that you can have, the faster it's going to be to complete this process. So if you can have your Orcarilium tools on, I think that goes up to almost 550% or something like that, something crazy. So it's going to be 5 times faster than using the flint or iron, which is, after a while, that adds up a lot of time on what you're saving. So those are my things that I would do that I regret doing. I wish I wouldn't have sold all my green wood and my aged wood, because now I am trying to get my engineering up, and I'm finding I'm either having to waste 4 to 5K on buying all this green wood and putting it into timber and making all this charcoal for everything. And the time I'm spending on this, it's like I already did all this time getting from level 1 to 100. I could have just saved all this money and time if I would have just kept all those materials. But if you don't care on getting those perks up or those skills up later on down the road, sell it all. I mean, wait till they start banning all these people for doing the dupe, and make a killing once everyone comes back and is able to trade again, because I guarantee a majority of those prices are going to come back, especially with seeing what people were duping. I mean, they had, the void metal ignites, or whatever the fuck they're called, 15 different stacks of 10,000. So I mean, these people were duping whatever they could get their hands on. So once that is done, I'm assuming a lot of this stuff will go back to its normal price, because they're not going to have a whole bunch of different 10,000 stacks. Like, this is just ridiculous. To get 10,000 of this wood takes a good 4 to 5 hours. And you have 2 people on here with 10,000. Usually when you saw these sell orders before, this was more reasonable to have, or even like a 2 to 3K stock on here. You didn't really see a lot of 10,000 stocks, at least on our server, up until recently. So that's what I would do. Get those perks, chop as much as you can, and then whatever you feel like you want to specialize your stats in, for your trade skills, do that. If you want to get, high furnishing, go for woodworking. If you want, you're gonna have to get woodworking up regardless for engineering. So I would personally make it into timber, because smelting you're going to get when you do the iron ore, and then make the steel and the star metal and whatnot. That goes up fairly quickly. With that, this takes a while, because the only way to get woodworking up is through that green wood. But that's the beauty of this game. Everyone can play it however the hell they want. If you guys don't even want to get any of these up, no one's really making you, unless you're trying to hit that final dungeon where you're going to need 200 stone cutting and 125 arcana, but that's for a different video. So other than that, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys want to. Leave comments down below on what you guys want to see a different guide on what you can kind of do to level things up. If I don't have the level, like obviously if you ask for a jewel crafting video, I'm on level 24. I'll look at some ways to kind of level it up faster, and what's the kind of most efficient ways that I think you can do it as, or the most enjoyable ways. And I can make those videos, throw them out there, and let you guys have fun with them. Other than that, if you guys are on my server, the Chronomo, It's on the US West. Feel free to add me, Mike Cockhertz. Follow me over at the Twitch channel. Links are going to be in the description below. And yeah, have a good one, guys.